Hi, everyone, and welcome to the AAPI Strong Restaurant Fund Q&A. I'm Emily Feuder, the Program and Marketing Manager at National ACE. And with me, I have Young Tran. Young, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Young Tran. I'm the Programs Associate at National ACE.
And today we're going to go over some best practices for your application and also answer some of your questions. So as your questions come up, put them in the Q&A within the webinar feature. So at the bottom, you can see an option to type in your question, and someone from our team will either type the answer or we can answer it live. But we do want to address all of your questions and help you put forward the best application. So just a little bit about National ACE. We've given out 305 grants in the last year and over $2 million. So we are really excited about renewing this program again with Grubhub. And this program is 100% funded by Grubhub. So, and it's only for Asian American and Pacific Islander owned restaurants. You can learn more about what National ACE is doing at nationalace.org. And then here's some pictures of our past winners. So we had 196 winners last year throughout the country, and it was across the board, really different types of restaurants, really different types of applications, but everyone was very grateful to have won. And so we want to help you create an application, what I guess I would call a winning application, so that your picture can be on this slideshow next year. So in terms of the application this year, it's very similar to last year's. The eligibility requirements are that the restaurant must be Asian American or Pacific Islander or Native Hawaiian majority owned. So that's at least 51%. And the restaurant must be based in the United States, currently in operation, and you need to show proof that your primary licensed activity is the preparation and serving of food. And the other one is you can only operate in a maximum of 3 locations. So this opportunity is not for franchised restaurants, but we will have opportunities in the future for franchised restaurants. So please stay tuned. It's just not this opportunity. And then in terms of the documents that you need, make sure that you have a copy of your business license. You'll need to upload that, your 2021 profit and loss statement, your certificate of good standing, and then there's a couple optional items here too, where you would record a video of your introducing yourself and your business and also your menu. In terms of the profit and loss statement, we have gotten questions already on what do I do if I started midway through 2021 or if I started in 2022? We just want to see that your restaurant is operating and see kind of a flow of your profit and loss. So if you've only been operating for 5 months, we still want to see your profit and loss from that time. And then going forward, we are getting some questions in the chat already. If you could just try to put them in the Q&A, it helps us type the answers and keep them all in order. And then at the end, I'll answer all the typed out ones too. So for your application do's and don'ts. This is a big one. This is what's going to set aside your application and be a winning application, right? And that's the goal. So when you type out your narrative of what you're going to use the funds for, bullet point number 1, be realistic. The grant awards start at $25,000. So if you're writing your narrative, make sure that you can actually do the things that you're saying you want to do with $25,000. That being said, there is a grand prize of $100,000. So if you want to write 2 narratives briefly and say, okay, if I get the $25,000, this is what I would do with it. I would amp up my marketing. I would replace a window. I would, build out my outdoor furniture. Just be realistic and have actual costs in mind of how the money could help you. And then you can also do the same with the 100,000. So, okay, if I win the 100,000, I'm going to renovate this section of my restaurant, and here's why. A lot of people skimp on the narrative, but we want to get a bigger picture of what you're really doing with the funds, because that helps us with the decision making. Then the second one is share how you've helped your community. As you can imagine, there's hundreds of applications that come in. We're already at 700 applications that have been filled out and submitted. But don't worry, we're not judging you based on if you applied today or yesterday. We are going to start the review process after we close the applications. So just make sure that you have a completed review. But the main thing that I guess one of these do's that people kind of skip is share how you've helped your community. So the way that you, served during the pandemic, if you helped out at a hospital, if you donate meals, if you volunteer and you have tutors coming into your restaurant and helping the community, if you work with your local chamber of commerce, share that in your application. We want to see how you're connecting to the community. And then also share your personal story. That's what makes an application interesting. We want to see why you started your restaurant, how you started, some of the challenges. Make it like when you listen to someone telling a story almost on the radio, type it out, right? Make it interesting. Have your story, because everyone's story is different, and that's what sets you apart. And then this year we are requiring that you include a photo of the owner in your application. So that's just because if you win, we want to be able to put you on our slideshow next year. We want to share the news. We want to say this is one of our winners. We won't use the image beyond our websites and our things like this. And then there was an announcement where Grubhub said, okay, here's all the winners. And they posted 5 photos of some of the winners last year. That would be it. We're not putting you on a billboard. We're not going to do anything else like that. And if we do, we would ask you first and probably get a better quality photo. So don't worry too much about that one. Then upload the correct documents. We see it a lot where people upload the same document twice, and it's not actually the right document. So if you make that error and you submit, let us know. We can reopen your application for editing if needed. We want to make sure that you have the right documents in there. And then we'll go over how to claim your business online and manage your reviews. That's a big one as well, because there is vetting. So every single applicant is getting vetted for being a legally operating business, and also for how you're doing online with your reviews and how you manage those. And then submittable is how we're accepting applications this year. So add them to your trusted contacts in your email so that it doesn't go to your spam. And then on the don't side, don't get too ambitious about how your funds can be used. That kind of goes right back into being realistic. You also shouldn't ignore your Google reviews. For the most part, many restaurants, even if you haven't claimed your business, people are reviewing you. And if it's negative or positive, you need to respond. So we're going to help you understand how to do that as well on this call. You also shouldn't post inflammatory language on your business account. So if you have a business Twitter, a business Instagram, a business Facebook, you should not be posting cruel things online, because it will be found, and that's a check mark against you on your application. You need to be professional online. And then don't upload the incorrect documents. So if we're asking for your business license, please upload your business license. If we're asking for your P&L, please upload that, or something like that, which we'll discuss. And then please don't ignore emails from the National ACE team. If we're asking you for details, it's because maybe there's something incomplete in your application, and we're giving you the opportunity to correct it. And then I'm going to just keep going. I know there's questions in the Q&A, but we'll get to those after I go through here. Here's an example of a best practice on a narrative from giving back to your community. So here's someone that provided meals to frontline workers, medical, police, essential workers. They raised money and they were using it to feed families. Here's a great example of a narrative on how they serve their community. It's bigger than just saying, we serve the homeless. Again, it's going to be thousands of applications. So if you have a little bit more to share, please do. It'll help yours stand out. And then I wanted to move it over to Young. She's going to help you understand how you claim your business, because again, this is something that we are measuring in your review, even though it's not on your application. So Young, you can take it from here.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, and that was a lot of information, but I'll just go over a little bit about how to claim your business and make sure that you are properly reviewing your reviews. And so first, You can visit google.com/business to get the process started. If you already see your business profile existing, it probably means that Google made it, but no one has claimed it yet. There was no owner. And so there should be a button that says, own this business, claim it now. You can click on that and then follow the rest of the process. It's very similar to starting from the beginning on your own. And we'll actually just jump right into how to create a business profile. And so if you can, yeah, thank you, Emily. And so to create a business profile, as I said, again, go to google.com/business. You enter the name of your business, choose the category of your business. Most of you all will be restaurants. And then enter your business address. PO boxes are not allowed. You have to have a physical address. And then also we highly recommend you do not use your home address unless you have a separate section that you're okay with people coming to visit, right? Once you've set that up, you enter your phone number, website, all that information. What Google will do is send you a postcard to verify that you do own this address. Once you've received that postcard, you will be able to finish that verification process, and you will be able to go into your business profile to make further edits that people who are searching you will be able to see. Emily, can you go to the next one? Thank you. And so we're going into managing Google reviews. So once your business is verified, you can publicly respond to customer reviews left on Google. And so this is just an example of Marie Pork. She's giving a 5-star rating that your business is absolutely amazing. And the owner is just responding, thank you, Marie. You see, this is a great example of how to respond to positive reviews. The next slide will get into tips and tricks on how to, best practices on how to manage reviews. And so first, keep your responses short, sweet, polite, and professional. And so we want to make sure you're giving that positive impression online. Then try to respond to reviews, good and bad reviews, as quickly as possible. So they feel like you're concerned, you're addressing their concerns, you're giving them those responses. While you're responding, do not use this as an opportunity for advertisement. Just focus on responding to that person, right? So, you know, if you were a customer and you were showing your complaint, and then the business owner immediately goes, yeah, thank you for your response, but let me show you this other product I have, and I'll give you a 20% discount. You see, that is an advertisement, and it leaves a pretty bad taste on the customer's mouth. And so just make sure that you don't advertise, you just address the problem or you address the person, right? For positive reviews, you thank the happy customer. For negative reviews, try to address it constructively. So business owners often ask for the advice about negative reviews on like how to remove them, right? Google will not remove these reviews. These reviews will be left on there. What you can do as a business owner is respond to that review and say, you know, explain the company policy that they might be upset with, or encourage them to contact you privately to resolve the review. Once the customer has contacted you and the issue is resolved, you can ask them to modify that review or remove that negative review. And that's just the best way of responding to negative reviews. And so I'll pass it back to Emily.
Thank you, Young. Amazing. Yeah, like she said, there's a couple steps here to claim your business, but it's so worth it because you can't respond to your reviews if you don't own your business. Even though you own it on paper, Google and your customers have claimed it already in their own space, and they're answering the narrative and managing your reviews without you maybe even knowing, because they're the only voice on there. So it's really important to claim your business, and you still have time to do that. Let's say you haven't done that yet. You can start that process today and get your business claimed in time for you to answer those reviews before we're starting the vetting process. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that didn't claim their restaurants last year and their hours were incorrect, or it said they were permanently closed. And again, those are, it may not be on the written application, but your online presence really matters for this opportunity. So I see a question that came in. Where in the application can we share about the personal story? Is it in the section where we share about how we've helped the community? Yes, that's a great spot to put it. Talk about how you've helped the community and also how maybe you yourself entered the community, right? Everyone has an origin story. Most of us don't live in the cities or work in the cities where we were born. So share your story. Why are you selling hot dogs in Atlanta now? Why do you have a food truck in Connecticut? Why did you start an ice cream shop in California? Tell us that when you talk about the community question, or also how you're going to use the funds. If there's space there, tell us the story of how you started and where you're going. Again, it's all about telling that story effectively. And then I had another question come in from Christy. So if two of my restaurants have different DBAs, so doing business as names, and different business locations, but they're under one EIN, how many applications should I submit? So I guess, Christy, my first question is, I just want to make sure that you only have the 2 up to 3 restaurants, because again, this opportunity is not for franchises. It's only for restaurants operating in 3 or less locations. So if you have different restaurants in different locations and they have different needs, then you can submit for the 2 different restaurants. That's okay. Tell us how you would use the funds for restaurant A and how it would be different from restaurant B. I would encourage you not to submit identical applications for the restaurants because it kind of shows almost like a thoughtlessness, because each location probably has a different need, right? Maybe one you're having trouble staffing. Maybe one was vandalized and it needs to be repaired. There's a lot of differences, obviously, when you run a business in different locations. So please keep all of that in mind. We've also seen folks who maybe have a language barrier, and there have been people that have helped them fill out the application, which is amazing. Community members go in with their laptop, they're sitting in the restaurant, translating and helping with the application. If you are listening to this call and you're one of those people, I would encourage you to change the narrative from restaurant to restaurant, because we can tell if it's the same person submitting the application. And I know that you are doing this because you care about the restaurant and you want them to win. But if you have the exact same narrative of how you're going to use the funds and it's 6 different restaurants in your community, it just shows that you didn't quite follow the prompt, because every restaurant is a little bit different. And we understand that everyone needs capital. That's what this is for. We want to give you money, but the way that you're using it should be a little bit different from the other 5 in your community. So these are all just things to keep in mind as you're helping others either fill out their application, or if you yourself are filling out the application for 2 different restaurants. And so again, I wanted to open up for Q&A. If you have more questions, put them in the Q&A of the webinar, or in Facebook. We have team members monitoring that as well. A couple other questions that we've seen that have just come in through our info account. So when you have a question in Submittable and you send it to our team, it goes to this inbox that our team manages. And so one of the questions we got was, what if I don't have a profit and loss from 2021 because I started my business sooner, or I'm a sole proprietor and I call it something else? That's fine. Again, like I mentioned in the beginning, we really want to just see profit and loss from, at least the last 6 months of you doing business. We just want to see how things are going. It also helps us validate your place of business as authentic and real. We take a lot of steps, and there's a lot of people that have to make sure that your restaurant is what it says it is, because the last thing we would want to do is give the funds to someone that isn't a real restaurant, right? We want to make sure it goes to the correct people within the community. So that's why we have to ask so many questions. I know it can be a little bit burdensome, but we tried our best to keep it short so that we could serve the community and just get the information that we do need. And then Rudy, I see you asked a question that this is for any kind of restaurant. Yes. So as long as you hit the eligibility requirements, then yes, please apply. So I'm not sure if that was exactly your question, but yes, we want all kinds of restaurants. You don't have to serve Asian American food or traditional Pacific Islander food or Native Hawaiian food to qualify. To qualify, you need to be 51% majority owned by an AAPI owner. So it's okay if you serve pancakes. That's fine. You can serve pizza, New York style pizza. We don't care. But we just want to support the AAPI owned restaurants within the United States. And then someone asked, does the certificate of good standing have to be a certified copy, or is it just the download from the state website valid? We don't need it to be certified by a notary. If you have downloaded it from the state website and it is, accurate, then that is fine. We anticipate applications from the same cities. So if there's a big red flag and your certification looks super different from someone else's, we might reach out and just make sure, okay, that's really for the city of Denver. Another thing is make sure that your documents are up to date. So if your certification was only up until a certain date, you still have time to file for that certificate to be sure that it is valid for 2022 and be in good standing for this year. If everything in your application is done and you've filed to get your certificate of good standing and you still haven't gotten it from your state's office, just let us know. We want to make sure that you meet the deadline for your application, but we also want to make sure that your application isn't incomplete. So reach out to us. We'll let you know what the next steps are if you're still waiting on paperwork from your local government office, just to make sure. Any other questions?
Emily, there's two questions in the chat. One is, if the restaurant received funds last year from National ACE, can they apply again?
Yes, they can. We recognize that the funds this year are larger, so we want to continue to make an impact. And if that winner from last year, obviously they won, right? But we want their narrative to be different this year. It should show a bit more creativity because they already were supported by the fund last year. So we want to see how it would be different this year. If again, they're just, if they were a winner and they say, I want to use the funds for payroll again this year. Honestly, that's not a standout application because you already won last year. We want to see you being a little bit more creative in how you're going to use the funds to really grow your business instead of just being reactive. That being said, don't feel like payroll isn't a good enough application. If you are really in your community, serving your community, just let's say you're a mom and pop restaurant that's been open for 30 years, right? And you just need help with payroll to get through this summer. If you can put that in writing and kind of sell your story, that could be a winner very easily. I'm just talking about our past winners. So the 196, if you're listening in and your picture's on our website and you already won, we want to see something a little bit different this year if you hope to win again. And then
go ahead. I was just about to ask another question. And so this is more a technical question. It says, my company's closing month is at the end of August every year. What period profit and loss statement do you need?
So Ellen, I guess I would ask if you're open year round, and just to include in your application the months that your company is open. Are you talking probably just about your financial books? So for your profit and loss, if you could go from August last year to August this year, if you already have that, as close as you can, just to show at least 6 months of profit and loss, that is totally fine. We don't want you to spend too much time on, proving what your company is up to. We want to give you the benefit of the doubt, but August, September, October, November. If you already have it prepared from last year up until August, that's fine. Just include that. If you want me to clarify more, Ellen, just put some more in the Q&A and I can help you out. And then we have another question in the Q&A. Could a business still apply if they are working with someone to assist them in getting their documents in and numbers updated and can show this? Thinking of the micro enterprises that are more than 70% in our NHPI community that do pop-ups or run their business out of their homes. So again, if they, you can apply if you are eligible. I guess I will keep saying that. So if they hit all of the eligibility questions and they run a pop-up or business out of their home, but they are still licensed to sell and prepare food, then, and they hit the other ones, then yes, please have them apply. I'm not sure what you mean by getting their documents in and numbers updated. If you want to clarify on that a little bit more, we would be happy to kind of answer that more in depth. Also, if you have a question that pops up after this or tomorrow, in 3 days, 5 days, as you start to fill in your application more, you can email us. We are available to help you. And so the email is info@nationalace.org. And we're doing our best to answer the rolling in questions and just help you out. Our goal really is to make this year very hard to pick the winners. We want everyone's application to be wonderful. So that's kind of the purpose of this Q&A. We want to equip you to have the best application possible for your restaurant.
I also want to mention that we won't penalize you for not having an online presence because with the Grow with Google business profile, it is limited to people who are brick and mortar who has a physical store. But if you don't have those things, then that's completely fine. If you just have like a website up and you want to share that with us, that's perfectly okay.
Yes, absolutely. And then there was another question that we just typed the answer to, but for anyone watching that didn't see it, is there a minimum or maximum revenue requirement? And the answer is no, we don't have a minimum or maximum revenue requirement. We just need you to show, what you're up to in your profit and loss statement. So don't feel intimidated if you're still a small sort of startup. Again, it's really about the story and how you'll use the funds and also how you're involved with your community. Those are big reasons to apply. Any other questions? I know we have until the 45 mark from wherever you're calling in from, probably a lot of time zones on this call. I guess, want to point one other thing out. So we had applications last year who they said that they were currently operating, but when we did the vetting, they were permanently closed on Google. So again, I know that it can be tedious to claim your business, but if it says you're permanently closed online and that's not true, you need to do everything you can to show that you are currently operating, because that is a very quick cancel on your application. So if you are permanently closed online and you're saying that you are, you need to do everything that you can, again, to be operating and have your business hours up. And we are here as a resource for you. We know how to do that for you. So please, if that's something that is a barrier for you, email us. We will help you. We will set up a time. We will walk you through the steps to claim your business online, because sometimes it's hard when you're in a group to ask the question, right? But National ACE is here as a resource, and we want to make sure that, again, you have the best application possible submitted and that your restaurant is actually potentially even in a better place than it was before you applied, because now you have all your paperwork together, you have a way to manage your reviews, and you also have already applied, so you're ready for the next opportunity too. Thank you guys for coming. I just want to open up again if there's any last minute questions.
Yeah, we got 2 more questions that came in, Emily.
Okay, perfect.
One, how much weight is given in the section of the application about how we are giving back to the community? What if there isn't a big API presence in the area we are located?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we won't disqualify you if you are not giving back to your community. That's not like the only requirement. It's not an eligibility requirement. It's something that helps you stand apart, right? Because you're giving your time, you're giving your energy, and it doesn't need to specifically be serving the AAPI community. You could be volunteering at a local shelter. Anything that you're doing as a small business owner, if you are involved with, I mean, you guys kind of understand what volunteering is and what giving back to your community is. So if that applies to you, please include it. If it doesn't apply to you, don't stress too much. It's not a requirement to win, but it is something that is taken into consideration. So it's all about that whole package, right? You want to be truthful. So please don't lie if you are not helping your community. But also, if you do want to get more involved with your community and you don't know how to, National ACE has over 100 local partners on the ground working within your community. And those are regional Asian American or Pacific Islander chambers or nonprofits that are helping small business owners and the communities with different things. It could be education, it could be healthcare, it could be getting grants for your business through the government or through organizations like us. But you are not alone just because because ACE is based in DC. That doesn't mean that's the only area we serve and that's the only area we're connected to. We are throughout the country and we can connect you to a group that will help you get more involved in your community. So consider that. If you aren't involved in your community, consider getting involved.
Thank you, Emily. Another question is, I just learned that the certificate of good standing is only issued in corporations in the state of Virginia. Does the certificate of fact of existence / registration suffice?
We would have to look into that more. We just want to make sure that your business obviously is registered to operate in the state that you're operating in. And that's the purpose of the good standing, right? We want to make sure that you're not illegally operating. So we have your business license, and then we also have your certificate of good standing. So we can, we'll look into that specifically for the state of Virginia, but upload that for now, for sure. And if that's an issue later, we can message you.
Another question is, are we qualified for this grant if we are a boba pop-up working our way up to make a storefront?
Oh yeah, for example, like Chalk Community. If you have the eligibility requirements, right, and you have the paperwork that you are a legally operating business, it isn't just boba in your kitchen with no licenses and people are only Venmoing you and there's nothing on your taxes. That's something that we can't support at this point. But if you have your business license in place, you have your certificate of good standing, please apply. We would love to see it. It is completely okay if you are really small and a startup like that. We want to help. It just, these requirements are in place just so that we do our due diligence. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. And that
Rudy asks, is there a phone number to call besides email in case of a question?
We don't have a phone number to call right now just because we're expecting thousands and thousands of applications. That's the truth. But
That's right.
That being said, this is kind of a forum for us to answer live and just get a pulse on how the applications are going. Again, if you really need some help and you're not understanding specific parts of the application, please email us and then maybe we'll set up a time to call. But unfortunately, National ACEs, we're very small. So we want to support you as much as we can. And we're pretty happy that our email response time is about 24 hours or less for if it's a normal business day. So we are working Monday through Friday to help you with your applications. Please send us an email. If it's something that makes more sense as a phone call, we'll set up a time to call with you to respect your time as well, because we know you are running a business. So we want to find a time that works for you. And then any other questions that came through? I'm looking at the Q&A. I'm looking at the chat.
That's all that
Again,
I
we'll
see so far.
Perfect. So we'll send the whole PowerPoint deck to you. Everyone who registered for the webinar will get it, even if they weren't able to attend today. This is also streaming over to National ACE's Facebook. So if you want to rewatch this video, it will live on our Facebook page. And we are just so excited about this opportunity to run it again this summer. And if you have questions, you know how to find us. It's info@nationalace.org. And we just hope that you all submit your best applications this summer and that many of you hopefully will be winners. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, Emily.